something unique. We established what is called the secret keynote. Oh, thank you. Was that a clap or? Yes! Yes, thank you, Neil. Thank you. For our first secret keynote, we brought a gentleman by the name of Andrew Left. Andrew basically started Citron Research. In my opinion, he's probably been the most accurate guide in terms of analysis in our business over the last 10, 15 years. And to my disbelief, it was actually very well received. So what we're doing tonight is we're going to take it to the next level. The secret keynote should always feature someone who is beyond unique, distinctive in their own right. Someone who was a trailblazer, someone who speaks the truth. And we have a very special guest tonight. This gentleman basically was the inventor of security on computers. Back in the early 80s, he created a company by the name of McAfee Associates. It was, how can I put this, ahead of its time. Over time, this gentleman has reinvented multiple things in the space that are now probably the biggest concerns of society. And he also ran for president. And I have to disclose, for full disclosure, I am a libertarian. And I think he's going to shed some extreme knowledge onto what to expect in the future. So please give a warm welcome to Mr. John McAfee. Yeah.
All right. I met Chris today, and he asked me what I was going to talk about. I said I have no clue. He said, how about some unsolved problems? So I said, well, okay, in my personal experience, the greatest problem I have faced is how to distinguish a legitimate Bangkok prostitute from a girly boy. So, to Chris's credit, we were discussing how we could segue that into something relevant to this conversation when my boss at the back of the room came and fired me. So, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I'll make it very brief. I first cut my teeth on computers with General Electric process automation back in 1968. I had just left graduate school, was bored with the world, got this job, and I learned from the masters of process control. If you don't know anything about process control, it is the ultimate technology in computing. I stayed with General Electric for 2 years, quit, and started dealing drugs. This is all the truth. I made much more money. I traveled around the world. I was arrested in Mexico, Guatemala, Munich, Germany, you name it, I was arrested in jail. By the way, Mexican jails, highly recommend it. Very socially pleasant. So, however, I continued to use what I had learned at General Electric. In between drug deals, I would get contract jobs with, for example, Siemens in Germany, Univac, all the even IBM, high technology companies, because I had talents that no one else had in the process automation field. So this continued from 1971 until 1982, when, for some reason, I came to my senses. Stopped dealing drugs. I did make one huge mistake. I wrote for the Underground a pamphlet entitled "The Drug Dealer's Survival Guide to Traveling in Central America." Now, has anybody read that? You have? Okay. Now tell me that was not some good advice. I mean, I said among the advice is always carry a press pass. You can get them faked anywhere. Number 2, wherever you go, find the name of the police commissioner of the country and put his name in your phone. Why? Because if you're caught dealing huge amounts of drugs in Central America, you merely say, hey, of course they're drugs. I'm delivering them from the police commissioner to a friend. You don't believe me? Call him. Well, no madman was going to do that. So things like that. Now that came back to haunt me During my beliefs issue, where some magazine said that I was running the largest meth lab in Central America. Now, I'm a gringo. I don't know if you know anything about drugs, but a gringo running a meth lab in any Central American country would have a life expectancy measured in seconds. So this is the madness of the press. But I didn't come here to talk about that. I came here to talk about security. Specifically, cybersecurity. There is so much that the average person does not know that it boggles the mind. For example, I doubt that anybody in this room has ever visited a porn site. If anybody has, your phone has a keylogger on it. Someone is watching every keystroke that you type. Every porn site in the world. Who's watching? I don't have a clue. What are they going to do with the information? I don't know. But when they do, you will not like it, I can promise you. How does this happen? Because all of our mobile devices are designed primarily by two companies, Google and Apple. What is their purpose? They are mobile spy devices. Well, I mean, what do? They allow marketers to find out where you are, what you're buying, who your friends are, all the information so that the next time you log into Facebook, they will try to sell you a cheaper pair of brown loafers. That doesn't bother me, because I can choose not to buy them. But because Google and Apple have put those facilities into these products, hackers use them for purposes that I don't like. Now, why everybody has a keylogger on their phone who has ever visited any porn site, I don't know. I'm waiting to find out. I promise you it's going to be magnificent when it happens. You may be aware of the Ashley Madison hack last year, a $3 billion company that no longer exists because of a hack. And for a period of time, you could pay $25 and log on to a site to find out whether your husband or wife was looking to have an affair with somebody else. People committed suicide. Now, what I just told you, if anybody, I don't think anybody here has ever been to a porn site. You don't look like the type of people. But if you know someone who has, tell them to go to do a factory reset on your phone. Because someone's watching you, listening to you, and watching everything that you type. How easy is this? It is trivial, utterly trivial. A gentleman named Chris Roberts, very close friend of mine. He's the guy who hijacked the United Airlines thing last year to the entertainment system. Anybody remember that? Nobody watches YouTube. Good. He had gone to Boeing Airlines because he had figured out how he could bring an airliner down, either from the internet on the ground or from hacking into the entertainment system in the seat in front of you. The engineers at Boeing said, that's bullshit, can't happen, leave. He went to Chicago, got a ticket from Chicago to Philadelphia, hacked into the entertainment system, changed the course of an airplane for 2 seconds, and put it back in place. He was arrested by the FBI. They detained him for half a day and let him go. These are realities. A major company, engineering, not knowing that the same bus, and a bus, by the way, is a piece of hardware that shares data between two computers, was used both for the entertainment system and the flight control system. Why don't these companies know this? Because the people who truly understand hacking, who are the good guys, like at DEF CON, have purple mohawks, 10-gauge earrings, and some of them have face tattoos. Why do they do that? Because they can. Because they're good. Because some of them get millions of dollars a year hiring themselves out to companies. Now, I want to tell you one little story. Another good friend of mine, a gentleman named Eddie Mize, and by the way, Anonymous had a demonstration in front of Trump Towers with ridiculous demand that I be in charge of cybersecurity. We all know that can't happen. Neither would I want the job. But Motherboard called me and said, well, who would you recommend? I said, 2 people, Eddie Mize and Chris Roberts. Chris Roberts, the guy who hijacked the airplane, and Eddie Mize. Let me tell you how smart hackers are. Nobody uses technology anymore. It's social engineering. He was hired by one of the largest power supply companies in America to test their security systems to see how safe they were. He took the job. When people do this, there are two teams. One called a blue team, they're the good guys, they go inside, they try to prevent the red team from breaking in. Eddie is always in charge of the red team. So what he did is for 1 month, he parked with his team on a hill a quarter mile away from the main entrance to the facility, taking photographs, watching things. So they figured out how, first of all, to forge badges. And he noticed that every Thursday at 10 a.m., 30 to 50 trucks came in a huge convoy filled with Mexican gardeners, dressed in uniforms, with lawnmowers and all the equipment, and only the first truck had the paperwork. So they go out, they buy a 1978 Chevy, beat up. They get uniforms made exactly like the gardeners. They stain grass and mud. And they noticed that when the convoy came around a curve, which can't be seen from the guardhouse, there was an access road. So they parked in the road, let half the convoy go by, and forced their way in line. Now, in social engineering, you have to understand how people react to situations. He got inside easily. Why? Dressed, looked like, had the truck, had the gear. Why did not the gardeners turn him in? What person in the right mind would? And you got a good job here, gardening. It's none of their business. All the gardeners were looking at them. So they took their suits off. I mean, the gardener suits. Underneath, they were in three-piece suits. Had their badges. They walked in, and Eddie presented a letter from the head of the Tennessee Valley Authority from New York, which no one there had ever met, with numbers saying, audit authorization letter. This is a surprise audit. Give these gentlemen full access. At the bottom were 3 phone numbers. All 3 phone numbers went to a phone bank manned by women on Eddie's payroll. They walked right in, got in the computer room, took photographs to prove they were there, and left. Had they been bad hackers, black hat hackers, they could have planted software that would have taken down the entire eastern seaboard's power for years. All right? How on earth is antivirus software going to stop this? 10 years ago, I told the Wall Street Journal, the antivirus paradigm is dead. I mean, I invented it. If anybody's going to know when it's dead, it would be me. And it is dead, and it has been dead for 10 years. I speak at conferences all over the world. In August, I keynoted the Chinese National Security Conference in Beijing. I keynoted the InfoSec Conference Europe in London. The question I always ask is, how many people here, and these are all executives, use antivirus software? Universal, show of hands. How many people has that software helped? Nobody. This has been going on for 10 years. Why is this paradigm functioning? It's because Eugene Kaspersky, the people at Norton, Intel, which is going to give me my name back soon, and others would cannibalize tens of billions of dollars in revenues if they came out with a product that actually worked. Think about it, because the model they're using is the same model I invented. You'll lease the software for a year, pay me the same money next year. I mean, Kaspersky could shut its doors, fire everyone, and still get $4 or $5 billion a year every year. Are you going to throw that away by obviating that entire paradigm and hope that all of your customers are going to buy the new paradigm? Well, it's already too late for them because I've already done it at MGT. It's coming out in 2 weeks, and you'll all hear about it. But the problem is that we depend too much on what the press says, what our suppliers say, what our friends say, and we're not thinking. We're not thinking. Read the newspapers. The Office of Personnel Management last year, 23 million records taken by some unknown person of every employee of the U.S. government for the past 50 years, including the top secret cleared employees. And I'm one of those, by the way. Thank God I've got nothing to hide. So, Donald Trump, if you've read his cybersecurity policy, wants to make the Department of Justice the lead in a nationwide organization of law enforcement people to create cybersecurity policies. Can anybody tell me who the lead technology agency is within the DOJ? It's the FBI. 4 months ago, a 15-year-old kid hacked the FBI, took the names, addresses, phone numbers, photos, social security numbers of every undercover agent within the FBI and published it on the dark web. What was the FBI's response? We caught the kid, everything is fine. Is this the agency you want leading cybersecurity? Please God, no. We have a culture. It's almost like hackers have become wizards. I don't know, I demonstrated to someone today. Was it the gentleman here that I did the film demonstration with? No, of course not. Okay. It is unbelievable what a good hacker can do. There are people at DEF CON who play games. I watched one of them play Tetris with the municipal buses. From the bridge, from MGM Grand to whatever's across the street, Caesar's Palace. Because they remotely hacked in as they were coming by and put all these buses in maintenance mode, meaning the driver no longer has control. And so they would move one bus this way, make the other one stop, pull it over, pull it. Insane. And they were doing this as a game. What if these were bad people? And they're not. I keynoted DEF CON 2 years ago. I'm amazed that anybody here even knows me because you're wearing suits. At DEF CON, I'm mobbed by people. I don't know why. I'm 71 years old. These are young kids. But I think it's because I understand them. The people who can save this country and who can save this industry are the people that no one will hire, except for me. All of my people are hackers, I promise you, and the best in the world. So we have to change our culture. We have to understand. Do you think that the Russians would fail to hire Eddie Mize because he had a mohawk? Heck no. If he said, I want to come to work naked, they'd say, fine. Because they understand the value of this wizardry. And because they are wizards, things are happening around you that you do not even see. How did that software get on your phone from the porn site? A drive-by, meaning I just look at the website, sets the download unauthorized apps flag on Android, for example. The first click-through puts the software on your phone. From that point on, someone is watching everything you type. It is trivial for these wizards. So we have a serious problem. The paradigm doesn't work. Looking for malware, I predicted it dying 10 years ago. No one's working on new products except a few companies. MGTI, my company is certainly one. Our first product is coming out in a couple of weeks. It's called Sentinel. It is a new paradigm. That paradigm is not based on looking for what happened after the data is gone. That model tells you within the first few milliseconds, a hacker just entered your system, came in through port 80, sniffed all of the devices, take it from here. You can win that way. You have options. You can call the FBI. They might say, do nothing, we'll be right over, we want to try to find it. Or you might say, screw that, close down port 80, fire the guy that created the firewall, and let's continue. So you must find the hacker before the hacker finds your data. And it takes many months for hackers to do that. The new paradigm will have to take this into account. And we will also have to take into account this social engineering, as I described, that Eddie Mize did. Now I'll take questions, but only questions that I've never heard before. So I don't have any hands. Yes?
So I recently got hit by the Zepta virus.
I'm sorry?
Zepta?
You did?
Yes. And it encrypted all my data under...
Ransomware.
Ransomware.
Yeah. And how much did he ask for?
They wanted payment bitcoins.
Isn't that the problem? Isn't that the problem? Because those that get hit don't know how to use Bitcoin. Now, if I were doing a ransomware, I'd say, send me a Western Union to this address in Beijing. All right, those guys need my advice. But did you pay the ransom, or did you abandon
No, I contacted several security people. They said, fortunately, I have my data backed up. I could recover it. Don't pay the ransomware. But being the diligent person that I am, I started Googling on my phone and my Surface how to, decrypt the ransomware. The hackers have websites that look so real.
Yes, of course. It's not just porn sites.
Yeah.
There might be sites selling loafers or something.
And then when it gets to the interesting part, well, here's how you can go to take it off. You click on it, and it's on the Android or the Surface. Fortunately for me, it was a Microsoft compatible thing, not Android. So it loaded, but it didn't infect my phone.
Right, very lucky.
And I'm relatively up to speed on things.
But trust me, by the time you got up to speed, the hackers are way ahead of you again.
No, I got it, but I'm thinking to myself, the average person has no clue.
Buy flip phone. I am the world's largest target, by the way. And I let people infect my iPhone. Why? Because I want to find out what's new. Sometimes I don't get away with it, sometimes I do. Last year, somebody tried to plant, because I use Android, and there was a notification from something saying, please click here. Don't click anything, ever. Ever. If you get an email from someone you do not know, you don't need to know them, throw it away. All right? So anyway, so I went into it, found the program, and it was a ransomware program. And some guy, at least Nikolai was the guy that put that. I didn't click on it, so I didn't get the message. But I sent him an email saying, I'm John fucking McAfee, leave me alone. That doesn't always work. So I let people infect my phones. A flip phone is the only safe way of communicating in this world today, I'm sorry to say. I hadn't heard that question before, so thank you, sir. Another question I have not heard, yes?
So is it possible to get some kind of, to load like an open source operating system on your Android phone, or get some kind of more niche operating system? So
Absolutely. It is indeed possible. However, we are dealing with the two largest giants of industry, Google and Apple. Do you think your company will succeed? No. They'll either buy you out, throw it away, send some contract killers to break your knees. I don't know what they do. But here's the problem. It has to come from them. They must understand the madness that they're leading us through. And so far, they have not seemed to understand that. By the way, I am banned on every Google campus in the world. I'll tell you a later story how that actually happened.
Go ahead.
Okay, real quick, a lot of us are finance people. Can you describe, you said a hacker would get in for 6 months. Could you
I'm sorry?
You said a hacker could get into something for 6 months. Could you describe just what he would do at, say, month 1, month 3, and month
Yeah.
6?
Okay, the first thing he will do is going to probe your firewall. Every firewall on the planet, I don't care if it was designed by Albert Einstein, has problems because it's done by humans. And firewalls have become complex. 15 years ago, you had a laptop, a mainframe, a few other things. Now you've got a refrigerator, a thermostat, a toaster maybe, your CCTV cameras. And so you're configuring it, and you're going, Joe, does that refrigerator send emails or not? Yeah, probably not. So we'll check that out. Well, maybe it does. So now you're screwed. Because you can't know everything about every device on your net. So people blame the designers of the firewalls for, hey, it was your problem. Well, good Lord, I would not want that job. It's an impossible job. Okay, so first thing hackers do, am I out of time?
No, keep going. I just wanted to give people a mic so you can hear them.
Oh, I can't go anything anyway. I'm just randomly answering questions. So you want to step by step. It would take years to do it, but I'll tell you generally what happens. They probe the firewall because there's always a hole. Now that may take weeks, may take dozens of people. Once they found the hole, then the top hackers come in. They come in through that hole, and the first thing they always do is sniff the network, meaning, okay, what do we have here? There's a refrigerator, toaster, and mainframe, da-da-da-da-da. So then that goes back to the architects, and they're going, yeah, the refrigerator probably doesn't have any valuable information, forget that. But we found 4 mainframes, we found all these databases, we need to know what's in them. Okay, that's a day's job. The next 2 weeks will be spent trying to break into each of these things which the architect thinks are important to see, is this where passwords are kept? Is this where the Pentagon keeps their plans for their next fighter bomber? What have you? Now that can be a long time, but it's certainly not a matter of days. It's a long time. Then they will actually break in. So already went through weeks. And our product in the first 2 seconds has already told you they're in your system. Okay, so you have plenty of time to react. So then to break into the system to see what is there. Now normally you've got to find the password file. You've got to have the hash tables because how do you get in there unless you have someone's password? It used to be done by brute force. Now it's simply done by calling the corporation. Using social engineering to get somebody's password, the most trivial thing in the world. So you got the password, now you enter and go, yeah, this is the financial data, but we can't really use it because there's no social security numbers or credit cards. So the OEM hack started in 2013. It was discovered in 2015. That's a 2-year period. Give you an example of the longest period of time. One more question, yes?
Can you hit back at the black hats, in other words, penetrate their equipment, find out exactly who they are, damage their equipment?
You know, you're asking me really tricky questions here. I am a friend of DEF CON, which is composed both of black hat and white hat hackers. Give me any group of 50,000 people, there's going to be some bad apples. All right? I don't concern myself with them. I treat everybody as they appear. If they're saying they're a white hat hacker, they're a white hat hacker. So I don't know any black hat hackers.
We have time for a few more questions.
Oh, by the way, I should not have answered that. I've heard that question before. Yes, sir.
I have an unusual question for you. How long have you had your beard, and has it created any problems with you in your career?
Yeah, okay. Well, that's quick for it. I've had this beard since I was 21, which is 50 years. The greatest problem is created with Asian women who don't like to kiss men with beards. But it's created no problems that I'm aware of in business. I've never been not hired or fired because of the beard, nor has anyone asked me, although maybe Mr. Ladd will ask me later to shave, I don't know. But it has not created a business problem, no, sir. It has yours, by the way.
Not mine either.
Pardon?
It hasn't created a problem in mine.
No, actually, yeah.
I was only asking.
Okay.
Did it help with the lady boys?
The question was, does it help with the lady boys?
I can give you an honest answer because here's the problem. And there was a serious question, by the way. Has anybody here been to Bangkok? Has anybody been to Patong? All right, now you people who've been to Patong know that the gorgeous Bangkok girls and the gorgeous Bangkok boys are indistinguishable. Indistinguishable. And if you're a single person and you're a bored person like I always am, maybe. What happened? Maybe you might want to find out what the Bangkok prostitute is all about because they are rated at the top all around. You're the sound guy. Didn't I just recommend that you have a raise? I said, you guys are so, thank you very much. You guys are so important, I don't care what they're paying you, it's not enough. But they're paying you too much, my friend. So if you are an experimental person and you want to find out what life is all about, and you're in Bangkok, you will end up in a room somewhere. and there will be an appendage that shouldn't be there. So,
Jeff, you have a question?
and I can't tell you, I did not try to kiss him, so I don't know whether he would kiss me or not.
What do you think about the multi-factor biometrics? Is that going to help? Is that just so much effort and doesn't have much?
It's going to help who? It's going to help the government. It's going to help create 1984. Not going to help you any. Yes?
So, obviously we don't have direct conflict between major countries anymore, but there are openly
Whoa,
cyber.
we don't have conflict?
We don't have direct conflict. People aren't sending helicopters at each other.
No.
However, those countries are directly attacking each
Yes.
other. What can countries
There will not be another war using bombs, nuclear bombs. Why would you waste all that artillery and hardware and expense and fuel when a dozen hackers sitting in a back room drinking vodka, smoking weed, or doing whatever they could do, push a button and you lose your electricity forever? It would be pointless. So yeah, our next war will be a cyber war. Why has it not happened yet? Because in spite of what America says, it is not the leader. But it has enough power to destroy any country on the world, and so does every other country. It's cheap to build a cyber war army. Korea has one. It's called Bureau 121. 2,100 of the finest hackers on the planet, and when the press says no, they're stupid, they're wrong.
We have time for 2 more questions.
You just said that 2 minutes ago.
I'll try this big picture then, from a national security standpoint. What would be your goal roadmap plan to minimize the potential damage that could be catastrophic?
Well, I would do what any sane CEO does when he takes over a large, clunky, inoperable corporation. Rate everybody and fire the bottom 3 quarters. Number 1, in the cybersecurity field. Number 2, immediately go to every hacker convention on this planet. Put up a booth saying, the United States is hiring. I don't care what they're paying you, we'll pay you double. And underneath it, Mohawks are fine. Or if you want to smoke dope in the basement, go ahead. Seriously, there is no other way.
Last question, David.
Does Mr. Trump have a chance on keeping us safer in the next 4 or 8, heaven forbid, 8 years?
I think Mr. Trump is not stupid. I don't. I think that, for example, his cybersecurity plan, I don't think he even read it. But he will. And he will get advice from the right people, and I think he will make appropriate choices. But unless we make the hard choices, that is, integrate our hacking world into our corporations. I have every one of my programmers is a hacker and the best on the planet. I don't care what they do. I don't care what they want to do, even though our CTO does care. Because they're good. They're wizards. Pay them what they want. Let them do what they want.